Hi girls, I just felt like we were rushed right at the end, so I wanted to go back over these last couple problems from the notes in case you had trouble with those similar problems in your homework. So this was the one we did right before the end, where we're going to give our final answer in slope-intercept form, and we're going to use the line that's given, and our new line has to be parallel to it. So notice in this problem 26, it's not in slope-intercept form, so we can't tell what the slope is. So we're going to have to do a little work with it, like what we did in class. So I'm going to first subtract 5x from both sides, and that's really large. So I'll do minus 5x. Don't forget that the y has a negative on it. And then we divide it all out by that -2. And don't forget to divide this into both parts. So 10 over -2 is -5, but these negatives here cancel. I will leave it as a fraction though, so just leave it 5 over 2. Okay, so that's the given equation. All we care about it is that our line is parallel. And remember, what we talked about today and yesterday is that parallel means the same slope. So the slope for this equation is 5 over 2. So we're going to use that. We're going to use that the slope is 5 over 2. And now whenever we write an equation, we need the slope and a point. So I want to point out to you, they gave us a point. That's the one they want us to use. So we're going to use that m is 5 over 2 and our point is 3, -5. So here's why I used point slope in the example that I did in class, because this is not the y-intercept. So I'm going to use point slope form. I'm going to use point slope form with this slope and this point right here. So I'm going to set it up on the left here. Y minus y1, so it'll be minus -5, equals m, which is 5 over 2. And then x minus x1. x1 is the 3. And then I'm going to simplify and clean this up and get it into slope-intercept form for our final answer. So these cancel. I get y plus 5. At the same time, I'm going to go ahead and distribute. We practiced this in class today. So 5 halves x minus, I'm going to just multiply the fraction 15 over 2. If you want to use a decimal, that's okay. Okay, so now I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And I get y equals 5 over 2x. And now you might want to do this in your calculator. If you do, make sure you notice that they're both negative. To make this easier, I'm going to notice that 15 halves is -7.5. And so a -7.5 and a -5 is a -12. This is the answer that I'll find in the back of the book. Okay? Okay, so this is the other problem that we started right at the end of class. The difference here is that we're dealing with perpendicular to the given line. So we're going to use the given line the same way. We're going to figure out what its slope is, but here we're not going to use that slope because it's not parallel. We're going to have to change the slope in a way so that our line is perpendicular. So perpendicular, remember, means opposite and reciprocal. So we have to do both of those changes to get a slope that we can use. So let's look at this given equation. Here m is -3. We don't want that. Our line has to be perpendicular. So we're going to change that 3 to 1 over 3. And we notice it's negative, so notice I didn't write a negative. So they're always going to have one positive, one negative here. This is the slope I'm going to use. I'm going to use this point too. And because it's not a y-intercept, I'm going to use point slope form. And so I'll plug in y minus -2 equals 1/3 x minus 6. So just like we did in class, we're going to use distributing first. 1/3 times x is 1/3 x, and 1/3 times -6 is -2. Once I'm at that point, I'm going to solve for y, so I'm going to do minus 2, and I get 1/3 x minus 4. That's my answer that I'm looking for. If I were to graph this line and this line up here in red, they would look perpendicular on the graph, and you can always do that as a way to kind of check yourself. Okay, so let's do just one more example, and I want you to try these so that when you do your homework, hopefully it'll make more sense. But feel free to watch this as many times as you need. Notice 34 was already mx plus b, so the slope was easy to find. Here, though, it's standard form, so I'm going to start solving for y, just like we did in class. Okay, and then dividing by -4. So 8 and -4 is -2. -3 and -4 will go positive. Watch your negatives. They can always trip you up. So notice this has a slope of 3/4. I don't need that. I need a perpendicular slope. So I would switch the 3 and 4. And then because that's positive, I add in the negative. So I have to make sure one of those two is negative and the other one's positive. Okay, so now I'm ready to go. I've got the slope I need, the -4/3. They gave me a point to use. We're going to use point slope again. So y minus 5 equals -4/3 x minus -6. I'm going to distribute first. We always do that first. So I get -4/3 x. You might want to use a calculator here if you're a little shaky on your fraction math. 4/3 times 6 is 24/3. And then 24 divided by 3 is 8. So I'm going to bring down my y minus 5. So minus 8. And now I'm ready to solve for y. So I do plus 5. And I get y equals -4/3 x minus 3. That's the answer that I'll be looking for. And again, if you graph that and you graph the starting equation, you will see that they make that right angle if you did everything right. Okay, I hope this helps.